So back in like my high school days, I used to follow bodybuilding. Prior to the internet, we used to have these things called magazines. So we would buy like Flex magazine and follow that stuff. And later on in my probably, I was like 20.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto US 92 East, West Bakersfield.
After living in Florida, I moved back to Buffalo, and then I moved out to Las Vegas with my family, and started going to the gym out there, Gold's Gym on Sahara and Decatur, and started, seeing and meeting quite a few professional bodybuilders. One time I was out there and I was doing like triceps, and I looked up and Paul Dillette, he's an IFB, like top.
At the stop sign, turn right
top
onto
tier,
US 92 East, West Bakersfield.
Top tier bodybuilder, and I look up and boom, there he is, and he's like, no exaggeration, he has to be like 6 foot, like 6'6", like 6'7", 340 pounds. I've never seen anybody in my entire life that was that big in like describing him doesn't even really describe him, and I just remember looking at him and his fucking arms were like, literally as bigger than my thighs are, and I've just never seen anything like that in my life. And he was fucking huge, and he was the nicest dude I've ever met. That was other than some people I know now, but at that level of, he was in magazines, he was in the Olympia, and he was the fucking coolest dude I've this was before like camera phones and shit. I should have probably took a picture with him on one of the older cameras, He just became like somebody that you would, he lived out in Vegas, I think, part-time, and he would train people, and, he was just there, and he was just so approachable and so easy to talk to, and he just was like really just, other than being like a fucking monster, he's just a regular dude. And I just remember talking to him, and I ended up meeting Ronnie Coleman, Mr. Olympia, right on the day of the Olympia. It was in October. I was at Gold's Gym. I had no idea that it was the Olympia. I don't really follow the contests. I more or less just read like the magazines and shit. And I come in, and there's all these lights set up at the gym, like for a photo shoot. And I said, oh, okay, somebody must be here doing a photo shoot. Well, I go in the bathroom and I look, and this dude's bent over. He looks naked, but he had posing trunks on. He was so massive. I thought he was wearing, because the Ninja Turtles were like doing a thing out there, like filming, or there was people that played them on the strip or whatever. He looked like he was wearing a fucking like zip-up suit. And he came walking out on the floor, like he looked completely naked, but he had these little shorts on, like the posing trunks. And his girlfriend at the time was putting 2 baked potatoes, a chicken breast and a baked potato, in the microwave for him, and bringing his food out to him. And he just was eating all of this food, and his stomach was so fucking huge from the, all the shit, they take, HGH and fucking insulin and everything else. And I just watched him, do a photo shoot, and he couldn't walk more than 15 feet without having to hold on to something or stop. And it was like, man, this shit is not fucking healthy at all, I would see dudes in there on like Anadrol or whatever, Dianabol, and they would be purple, the entire time they worked out. I seen Craig Titus over at, this was before he got arrested for murder, at Sandhill and Flamingo. He just really, I would see people walk up to him and like, you know, this is like autograph days, and he would just act like fucking like such an arrogant dickhead that I said I'm never gonna go up and introduce myself to him. I remember one day it was Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, and I want to say Milos, all at the gym together, and they were all like goofing around, and I never went up to any of them or introduced myself, but I was kind of just watching them work out. But I remember watching like Paul Dillette, you know, like work out, and he was a fucking strong dude. There was another dude, I forget his name. He was a power lifter, and he was in the World's Strongest Man. And he worked out once or twice over at Gold's Gym, and I think he broke too many bars or fucking bent them or whatever. Like I've never seen anybody squat that many plates on there. He squatted so many plates, he would have 4 dudes, 2 dudes on each side to, like, you know, for his, you know, squatting, and the bar was like, you know, it was pretty fucking crazy to watch somebody, you know, he would bench five plates, you know, like nothing, you know, and I don't know, it was just kind of cool. As a 20-year-old dude, I was really into like Flex magazine and all of that stuff, you know, and I don't know, I was listening to a podcast about a guy that worked out at Venice Beach. I got to go out to Venice Beach once. I met Chris Cormier out there. There were some other people that were like actors that I seen walking in and out of the gym. I didn't really get to work out at the gym because we were but we got to go into like where the old Muscle Beach was. This was like 2002, and just kind of like see Venice before it is what it is now. So I don't know, I just wanted to make this video. I was just thinking about like that time of my life, and you know, how much bodybuilding or weightlifting or whatever you want to call it has always been something that I could turn to when I needed it. So, you know, I got my workout in this morning. I rode my bike for 30 minutes. I'm getting back on the bike, and I worked out yesterday for 45 minutes. It felt good, and, you know, just, you know, working through this injury and trying not to fall off too much, as they say.